NewsX World for all of those as we bring them to you. But let's move on now, and in a show of regional cooperation, the Philippines, Australia and Canada are currently conducting a joint naval sail in the South China Sea. The operation involves the Philippine Navy's BRP Jose Rizal, Australia's HMAS Brisbane and Canada's HMCS Ville de Quebec. Officials emphasise the activity is not directed at any country, but comes amid rising tensions, including a recent collision between two Chinese vessels. The sail is taking place within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone as part of the broader exercise El Alon, a 15-day joint military drill involving 3,600 troops, amphibious operations and live fire exercises. Canada and US forces are also participating. The Philippines has pledged to increase such joint operations, aiming to deter aggression and uphold maritime security in the region. Well, joining us to discuss this is Jim Rice, Professor of International Law, who joins us live from Vigan in the Philippines. Jim, as always, thank you for joining us. You're in the Philippines. Can you provide us some context on how this is being reported locally and what the significance is for people of the Philippines amidst so much regional instability in the South China Sea?
Thanks for having me on, Joshua. As to your first question, how it's been reported locally, it's hard to say. The TV channels are covering it to some extent, but to a large extent, this information just isn't getting through to most Filipinos that I speak with on the ground here. Even though, we're only 140 miles from Scarborough Shoal, which is where this very serious incident happened just last week. If I could just try to address the second part of your question, I've been concerned about this issue for some time now, and this is a very serious one for the Filipinos, whether they are aware of this or not. And China has been threatening to seize, and in a sense they have been engaged in a gray zone warfare by slowly trying to change the facts on the ground, by seizing maritime territory bit by bit. And apart from the very serious incident last week where a Chinese Navy destroyer sailed in front of a Chinese Coast Guard vessel, causing a very serious accident at sea while the Coast Guard vessel was bearing down on the Philippine Coast Guard vessel. This show of unity and show of support by the Philippines' Western allies couldn't come at a better time. In fact, I wrote an article about this just about 1 year ago, where I was calling for just such show of support and solidarity. This is very much needed by the Philippines in terms of, the boost of morale and in terms of its strategic importance.
Yes, absolutely. Jim, you've mentioned that Western support, Western allies of the Philippines, of course, involved, Australia, Canada and the US. How do you expect China to react diplomatically? But also, what do you think the Chinese thinking will be like behind closed doors? This is a public show of support for the Philippines.
Yeah, well, again, in deference to your previous guest, I would agree with him in terms of the PRC's, show of being a bad actor in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. But even more so, they're a bad actor in the Pacific. And they've been attempting to bully the Philippines for years now, sometimes being more successful than other times. There's a very strong support for the fact that the Philippines' maritime territory is sovereign, and there's support for the President Bongbong Marcos's position on not ceding an inch of territory to China. As to how China will take this, how they will react, they're always the same. They always lie. They always accuse others of aggression and cast themselves as the victim, as they did just last week in this very serious incident off of Scarborough Shoal.
Yes, absolutely. Jim, I wish we had longer to speak on this topic, but unfortunately we do have to move on. But thank you, as always, for your time and such unique insights on a complicated topic, one that will have developments that we will bring to you. Let's move on now, though, and